There is no accident in your being here at this very moment. You are not listening by chance, but by divine appointment. The world you see around you is but a reflection of the world within you. If you would dare to believe, truly believe, then what now seems impossible will soon become inevitable. Miracles are not events sent from afar. They are born in the womb of your own consciousness. This message is not about hope. Hope waits. This is about certainty. For what you accept as true inwardly must express itself outwardly. The surprise that is coming is already forming itself in the unseen, and it is waiting only for your agreement, your inner consent. Life is ready to astonish you. The door is about to open, not because of fate or fortune, but because you are awakening to who you truly are. So now, gently but firmly, remove the veil of doubt. Quiet the noise of fear. And know this, your Father knows what you need before you even ask. And the moment you claim it as already yours, the heavens will conspire to bring it forth. The power of inner assumption lies in the recognition that your inner world is the origin of your external experiences. What you accept as true within yourself, what you consistently dwell upon in imagination and feeling, begins to take shape in the world around you. The outer world is not independent of the inner man, it is the expression of him. Life in all its forms bends to the assumptions you hold most deeply, whether you realize it or not. Every event, every encounter, every breakthrough or delay carries the echo of your persistent inner state. To assume a thing is to accept it as fact now, not in some distant future, but in this very moment of awareness. It is not wishful thinking or idle dreaming, but a deliberate acceptance of a new reality, even while the senses scream otherwise. Assumption is the substance from which faith operates. It is not merely thinking positively or hoping for the best. It is the quiet, unwavering confidence that what you have imagined is already so. The world will respond not to what you want or need, but to what you believe yourself to already be. If you wish to experience abundance, peace, healing, or restoration, then assume those qualities within. Let them become natural to your inner speech and feeling. Let them shape the way you walk, the tone of your voice, the thoughts you entertain in solitude. The universe is not deciding what to give you. It is simply reflecting what you have already claimed inwardly. To harness the power of assumption, one must move beyond begging or pleading for change. The divine does not require persuasion. What it responds to is alignment. The one who assumes already has, and therefore does not strive or grasp. This is the mystery that many overlook. By assuming the end is already fulfilled, you move in harmony with the law of consciousness. You are not trying to create something from nothing. You are awakening to the truth that all things already exist in the unseen and are brought forth by your awareness of them. When you assume, you shift the focus from lack to possession, from fear to fulfillment. You are no longer a seeker, but a finder. There is a sacred power in imagining yourself already at the place you desire to be. Not imagining the process, or the struggle or the delay, but the end itself. The feeling of having it. The restfulness that comes when the prayer has already been answered. And this assumption, held consistently and confidently, begins to weave itself into your reality in ways that often appear miraculous. Life reorganizes itself around your dominant state of being. You do not force the outcome. You live from it. You speak from it. You respond to the world around you not as someone who is waiting, but as someone who has already received. Most people assume the worst without knowing they are doing it. They imagine failure, rejection, loss, and difficulty, and life faithfully mirrors these unconscious assumptions. The principle works regardless of what you assume because it is impersonal. The power is always active, but it responds to the direction you give it. When you become conscious of what you are assuming about yourself, others, and the future, you begin to take control of the creative process. You are no longer a victim of circumstances, but the initiator of change. This is not self-deception. It is the recognition that the inner man governs the outer world. You are not bound by appearances, because appearances are simply the result of former assumptions. To practice assumption means to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You imagine scenes that imply your desire is already realized. You persist in this inner knowing even when there is no outer confirmation. You return to it again and again, not anxiously but confidently, knowing that assumption has creative power. In time, what was once only an image in your mind becomes the tangible reality you walk through. Others will call it coincidence or luck or fate, but you will know that it came by inner vision and faith. Assumption shapes destiny. It is the master key to change. You do not need to know how it will happen. The how belongs to a higher order. Your role is to accept the end as real now, to assume the identity of the one who already has what they once longed for. You are not pretending. You are aligning. The moment you accept this principle, everything in your life begins to shift. The people, places, and conditions necessary for your assumption to manifest begin to move toward you. But even before they appear, you are changed. You walk differently. You speak with authority. You radiate peace. The outer miracle begins with an inward decision to assume that it is already done. Faith is the invisible bridge between the seen and the unseen. It is not based on evidence of the senses, nor does it wait for confirmation before it acts. Faith is the conviction that what you have imagined, what you have felt deeply within, is already yours, long before the world reflects it. It is the unseen substance that gives form to your inner assumptions. The world may call it foolishness or delusion, but faith does not concern itself with appearances. It moves with quiet certainty, knowing that reality begins not with what is visible, but with what is believed. The man of faith does not ask if it is possible. He knows it already is, and walks forward as though the promise were already fulfilled. He does not beg or plead for change because he lives from the place where change has already occurred. Faith does not look to the clock or the calendar. It is not moved by delay, nor is it shaken by the silence of waiting. There is a realm that exists beyond the senses, and it is there that true creation begins. Every structure, invention, and breakthrough began first in the invisible. Faith operates within this space. It is the power that lifts the mind above limitation and anchors the soul in divine assurance. It allows a man to stand in the midst of lack and see abundance, to face sickness and feel health, to endure rejection and know acceptance. It is not imagination divorced from truth. It is truth birthed in imagination. The world, bound by logic and facts, may resist this principle, but the soul that has awakened knows better. Faith is not weakness, it is strength. It does not tremble in the storm, it walks on water. It does not deny reality, it rewrites it from the inside out. Every person lives by faith, though few are aware of it. Each moment you act, speak, or expect something, you are exercising belief in something not yet seen. Whether you expect the worst or the best, you are placing your trust in a future not yet visible. The difference lies in where your faith is placed. Some place faith in fear, in patterns of pain and disappointment, and they receive according to their belief. But those who direct faith toward the unseen promises of a higher reality walk in a different kind of power. They become immune to circumstances, not because they ignore them, but because they have trained their inner eye to see beyond them. They have learned that what they feel is true within themselves must eventually find expression without. They no longer seek signs, they become the sign. Faith is the movement of awareness toward a reality not yet visible to others. It sees the world as already changed and invites it to catch up. It chooses to dwell in the feeling of what is desired, not because the evidence supports it, but because truth does not depend on approval. This kind of faith is not born from trying harder, but from yielding more deeply to what already is. It is a surrender to divine order, a submission to the invisible wisdom that governs all things. The moment you believe with your whole being that you are already what you seek to become, that belief becomes the seed from which your future grows. And that seed, watered by persistent faith, becomes a harvest of transformation. To live by faith is to break free from the tyranny of logic and the prison of past experiences. The mind may protest, listing every reason why it cannot be, but faith moves anyway. Faith speaks the language of completion. It says it is done, while the senses insist it has not even begun. Yet that declaration carries power. Words spoken in faith are not mere sounds, they are commands to the unseen to take form. They are declarations that draw the future into the present. Even when nothing around you supports the vision, faith continues to act as though it were already true. It does not retreat. It does not explain itself. It does not ask for permission. It moves boldly because it has seen what others have not yet seen, and felt what others have not yet dared to feel. Faith never waits for evidence because it is the evidence. It is the internal witness of what is coming into being. It does not look for reassurance. It offers it. When the world says, "Show me and I'll believe," faith replies, "Believe and you will see." This is the law of all creation. You are not a passive observer of life. You are a creator through your belief. When you step into faith, you align yourself with the divine creative process. You step out of the shadows of doubt and walk into the light of fulfilled vision. This is how miracles happen, not by striving but by knowing, not by hoping but by assuming the end. And once that inner certainty is formed, nothing can stop it. The path may wind and the timing may stretch, but the outcome is already set, not by chance but by the firmness of your faith. The law of conscious manifestation is the understanding that life is not happening to you by random chance, but through the focused activity of your awareness. Every condition, event, and relationship you experience is the product of your inner state, what you consistently accept, imagine, and feel to be true. You are not merely a spectator of your life, reacting to what unfolds. You are the author, consciously or unconsciously writing the story through your assumptions and beliefs. The outer world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the dominant patterns of your inner world. Whether you realize it or not, you are always manifesting, always creating. The difference between unconscious and conscious manifestation is the choice to take responsibility for that creative power and direct it deliberately toward the life you desire to live. Conscious manifestation begins with the realization that imagination is not idle fantasy. It is the tool by which you shape the unseen substance of life into visible form. When you imagine something vividly and emotionally, and persist in that state, you give birth to it. The law does not respond to fleeting thoughts or passive wishes. It responds to what you claim as real within yourself. If you continue to see yourself as unworthy, broken, or helpless, the world will reinforce that image. But if you begin to assume yourself whole, empowered, and favored, the world must eventually reflect that too. This is not arrogance or delusion. It is alignment with the law that governs reality. What you feel to be true of yourself, life confirms. Manifestation does not begin with effort, but with awareness. The moment you become aware of the connection between your inner conversations and your external experiences, you begin to step into mastery. Most people live in a state of unconscious reaction, replaying the same stories of limitation, fear, and lack, and wondering why nothing changes. But when you realize that these stories are not facts, they are choices, you gain the power to write something new. You are not bound by your past unless you choose to carry it forward in imagination. You are not a slave to external conditions, because conditions are not causes, they are effects. The true cause of your experience is always within. To manifest consciously is to live from the end, to dwell in the feeling that your desire is already fulfilled. You do not wait for evidence before you believe. You believe and then the evidence comes. The law is precise, but it is not mechanical. It works through emotion, through imagination, through the energy of conviction. If you desire healing, you do not visualize the healing process, or worry about how it will unfold. You imagine yourself well. You feel the relief, the freedom, the vitality. You dwell in that state so completely that your body begins to respond. Your circumstances begin to shift, and people around you begin to treat you according to your new vibration. The change does not come from trying to force reality. It comes from changing your inner self-concept and allowing reality to align with it. This law is not about manipulating outcomes or controlling others. It is about aligning yourself with what is already true in the realm of possibility. Every potential already exists. You do not create it from scratch. You choose it. The version of you who has already achieved what you seek is real, and you reach it by embodying its mindset, its emotions, its assumptions. You stop asking if it will happen, and you start living as if it has. This inner shift is subtle but powerful. It breaks the cycle of waiting and puts you into a state of receiving. When you manifest from this place, you are no longer grasping at life. You are allowing life to meet you where you already are in consciousness. Consistency is the key. The law does not respond to moments of excitement or occasional declarations. It responds to persistent identity. What you return to again and again in thought and feeling becomes the structure of your life. This is why it is vital to guard your inner conversations, to become mindful of the stories you are telling yourself throughout the day. Are you imagining defeat, rejection, and struggle, or are you dwelling in images of success, love, and peace? Your life will answer that question, not with words but with results. You can only experience what you have inwardly accepted as possible for you, not just intellectually but emotionally and spiritually. To manifest consciously requires trust in the unseen and a willingness to let go of the need to control the process. You are not the one making the manifestation happen. You are the one allowing it to happen by remaining faithful to the state of already having it. There is a higher intelligence, a divine order that responds to your inner stance. When you surrender to that flow, when you release the tension of needing and step into the freedom of having, everything around you begins to cooperate with your vision. Opportunities arise, people show up, and what once seemed distant becomes undeniable. The law is always working, always responding, and when you learn to work with it consciously, you begin to see that nothing is impossible. Everything begins within. Everything begins with what you dare to believe. Silencing doubt and expecting the miracle is not an act of willpower, but an inner shift in perception, where you choose to no longer entertain the voice of fear that insists you must see before you believe. Doubt is the resistance that stands between the desire and its fulfillment, not because it has power of its own, but because it takes your attention away from the reality you are creating within. Every time you doubt, you are reinforcing the very condition you long to change. Doubt speaks the language of delay and separation. It says, what if it doesn't happen? What if I'm not enough? What if I'm only imagining all of this and nothing will ever change? These are not innocent questions. They are subtle agreements with the opposite of your desire. They keep you anchored in a state where miracles remain concepts instead of lived experiences. To silence doubt is to cease arguing with your own potential. It is to quiet the mental chatter that demands guarantees, evidence, and confirmation before it will believe. But miracles do not arise from conditions. They arise from consciousness. They are not rewards given to the deserving, but natural results of aligning your inner state with divine truth. The moment you stop looking outside for signs and start living from the inner knowing that it is already done, you move into the atmosphere where miracles unfold. This is not denial, it is authority. You no longer grant doubt the right to speak louder than your vision. You no longer allow fear to define what is possible for you. You become the keeper of your own vibration, the guardian of your own belief, and in doing so you make space for the miraculous. Expectation is the emotional blueprint that tells the universe what to build. It is the soil in which the seeds of your imagination take root and grow. If you expect disappointment, it will arrive right on time. If you expect breakthrough, it will find you in ways you could never have planned. Expectation is not passive hoping. It is an active claiming of what is already yours. It is the energy you carry when you walk into a room, the tone of your voice, the thoughts that meet you when you wake. It says, I know who I am. I know what I carry. I know what's coming to me, even if no one else can see it yet. When you expect the miracle, you remove the question mark from your desire. You stop asking if it will come and start living in the certainty that it must. The mind often demands logical explanations and visible evidence, but the soul operates differently. It knows by feeling, by intuition, by inner resonance. When you are expecting a miracle, you are not waiting idly, you are preparing internally. You are expanding your capacity to receive. You are aligning every part of your being with the frequency of the outcome you've already seen in imagination. You are becoming the version of yourself who already lives in the fulfillment of the thing desired. That inner transformation is not just symbolic, it is creative. The moment you fully inhabit that state, the world begins to shift around you. Conditions bend, delays dissolve, and things begin to unfold with a sense of divine orchestration. But doubt is always waiting at the door, disguised as realism, caution, or humility. It whispers that expecting too much will lead to disappointment, that miracles are for others, that your desires are too big, too bold, or too far gone. Doubt plays on past failures and rehearses worst-case scenarios. It feeds on delay and grows stronger in silence. To silence it is to stop feeding it, to withdraw your energy from the story it tells and invest it instead in the new reality you are creating. You do not fight doubt by arguing with it, you disarm it by no longer believing it. You turn your attention inward, return to the vision, feel the joy of already having, and allow that feeling to become your new normal. The miracle does not come because you begged hard enough or waited long enough. It comes because you became the person who could receive it. It comes because you expected it, prepared for it, and made a place for it in your consciousness. It comes because you refused to entertain the lie that said it couldn't. When you dwell in the feeling of expectancy, you are no longer questioning, no longer analyzing, you are knowing. And that knowing becomes the vibration that calls the invisible into form. Others may not understand how or why it happened, but you will know it was always in motion, always waiting for your agreement, always ready to meet you the moment you chose to believe. When you release the grip of doubt, you return to the natural state of faith that every child knows instinctively. You return to the deep trust that says life is for you, not against you, that the desires in your heart are not accidents, but blueprints, that the invisible is more real than the seen. Expectation becomes your resting place, not because you've figured everything out, but because you've stopped needing to. You have chosen belief over worry, vision over fear, and in doing so you have made yourself ready for the miracle to arrive in the perfect way, at the perfect time, without resistance, without hesitation, and without delay. Living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the key that unlocks the hidden doors of manifestation. It is the state in which the imagined desire becomes your internal reality long before any external sign appears. It is not about merely thinking positively or daydreaming about what could be, but about embodying the emotional and psychological atmosphere of already having it. The inner world becomes more real than the outer, and what you feel within yourself begins to override what you see with your eyes. This principle does not operate according to the rules of the senses, but according to the laws of consciousness. When you live in the end result, you begin to mold your thoughts, behaviors, and vibrations to match what is already yours, and by doing so you summon the unseen into the seen. The feeling is the secret because it is the language of the subconscious mind, and the subconscious creates reality without question or hesitation. It does not respond to the words you speak or the logic you use, but to the feelings you embody. If you feel like someone who is still waiting, still lacking, still unsure, the subconscious takes that as a command and reproduces conditions to match it. But when you feel the joy, peace, and gratitude of already receiving, even if nothing around you reflects it yet, you are planting seeds in the soil of the unseen, seeds that must grow into form. This is the power of assumption. You assume not with the mind but with the heart. You claim with emotion. You become one with the desired state and refuse to step out of it. To live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to move as though the miracle has already occurred. You no longer ask for signs because you are the sign. You no longer look to circumstances to validate your desire because your inner world has already made it true. You walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself with a new energy, not because you're pretending, but because you've shifted your center of identity. You are no longer chasing the outcome, you are aligning with it. There is no striving, no desperation, only quiet certainty. You are no longer trying to get to the destination, you are living from it. This is the sacred reversal that changes everything. The external world becomes the echo, not the source. The cause is within, the effect is without. This practice requires discipline, not in the form of rigid control, but in consistent awareness. Each time you are tempted to return to the old feeling of lack or doubt, you gently redirect your focus to the state of fulfillment. You close your eyes, breathe deeply, and remember who you are. You recall the feeling of being loved, healed, abundant, chosen, whatever your heart longs for, and you let that feeling saturate your being. You do not wait for the world to give you a reason to feel it. You create the reason from within. This is the life of the one who manifests consciously. He no longer waits to see, he feels to see, and in time the world must mirror that internal reality with absolute precision. Living in the end means your emotional reactions begin to change. You no longer fear setbacks or delays, because you know they cannot alter the final outcome. You've already seen the end in your imagination, and you know it is done. You begin to carry a calm confidence, a peace that passes understanding. Others may not grasp it, but they will feel it. They will notice that something in you is anchored, steady, unmoved. You are no longer subject to the chaos around you, because you have found your home in the reality within you. And this inner home, this inner conviction, becomes the point of attraction through which all good flows. The world around you may continue to look the same for a time, but that no longer bothers you. You are not measuring progress by appearances. You are measuring it by your ability to remain faithful to the feeling. You know that what you feel consistently must be made manifest. You have stopped pleading and started assuming. You have stopped waiting and started embodying. You are no longer the one in search of transformation. You are the one who has already been transformed. And from this state, life begins to move in harmony with your inner vision. Each moment becomes an opportunity to practice this awareness. When faced with challenges, you do not respond as the old self would. You respond as the fulfilled self. You ask, how would I feel if it were already done? And then you choose to feel that now. You train your inner responses to reflect the reality you desire, not the one that appears before you. You refuse to be a slave to appearances. You recognize them as temporary shadows cast by old beliefs, and you gently turn back to the light of your new identity. You know that to feel it now is to live it soon, and so you make your home in the end result. You breathe it, think it, walk in it, and dwell in it as though it were your only truth. And in doing so, you call it forth into this world with power and certainty. Persistence in faith is the silent force that moves mountains in the unseen world. It is the unwavering stand you take when everything outside contradicts what you've already claimed within. It is the quiet refusal to give up, the decision to remain in the knowing of fulfillment despite the absence of evidence. This kind of faith is not loud, not desperate, and not emotional. It is still, steady, and unshakable. It doesn't depend on circumstances, timing, or validation from others. It flows from the conviction that what you've seen and felt in imagination is already real, already yours, and already in motion. While the world might measure belief by visible results, true faith measures belief by inner alignment. To persist in faith is to live with the absolute assurance that the unseen is more real than what the senses report, and it is only a matter of time before the invisible becomes visible. In the process of conscious creation, delay is often mistaken for denial, but delay is merely the time it takes for the outer world to conform to the inner shift. Faith does not demand instant proof, because it understands that reality reorganizes itself in response to your dominant state of consciousness. The moment you assume something to be true and feel it as done, a process begins that cannot be seen with the eyes but can be felt with the heart. Persistence keeps you in alignment with that process. Without persistence, the mind will wander, doubts will creep in, and emotions will fluctuate based on what is or isn't happening externally. But when you persist in faith, you stay rooted in the end result. You make your inner world more stable than the outer, and that stability becomes your power. Persistence is not trying harder or repeating affirmations with strained effort. It is returning to the feeling of the fulfilled desire again and again until it becomes second nature. It is choosing to think, feel, and act as the person who already has what they want. You might be tempted to give attention to current conditions or to talk about how long it's taking, but persistence redirects your focus. It gently but firmly says, "No, I know what I've seen. I know what I've accepted. I know it is mine." You do not need to force belief. You just need to keep returning to it. Each time you choose faith over fear, conviction over confusion, and gratitude over complaint, you are strengthening your connection to the unseen fulfillment. There will be moments when you feel discouraged, when your senses scream the opposite of what you're believing for. You may face delays, disappointments, and even ridicule. But the test is not in the delay. The test is in your response to the delay. Will you waver and fall back into doubt, or will you stand still and know that the vision is already accomplished? To persist in faith is to train yourself to remain emotionally unmoved by appearances. It is to adopt a higher perspective that recognizes the physical world as the echo of inner assumptions. And when you've truly assumed something is real within, persistence becomes your natural state. You are not holding on for dear life. You are resting in the reality that already exists in consciousness. Persistence does not mean you never have moments of weakness. It means you don't stay there. When fear or doubt arises, you don't condemn yourself. You simply return. You close your eyes, breathe, and reconnect with the feeling of already having. This is not a rigid discipline, but a loving devotion to your inner truth. The more often you return to that truth, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, the state of faith becomes your home. You live there, you respond from there, you plan from there, and life begins to organize itself in miraculous ways around that unwavering inner posture. This kind of faith is not rooted in logic. It is rooted in intimacy with the unseen. You have communed with the end, you have tasted the joy of fulfillment in your imagination, and you have decided to make that your dwelling place. No matter what challenges arise, no matter how long it takes, you do not shift. You may feel things, but you do not surrender your vision to temporary emotions. You know that the law is faithful, that imagination creates reality, and that what you persist in feeling must become your experience. You do not need to convince others, explain yourself, or seek reassurance. Your confidence is not performative. It is quiet, strong, and rooted in knowing. Persistence in faith is the difference between wishing and creating. Anyone can wish for change, but only those who persist in the feeling of the fulfilled desire see that change take form. It is easy to start strong and give up when nothing happens quickly. But true creators are those who remain faithful until the world has no choice but to conform. They do not lower their expectations to match circumstances. They hold their inner standard until circumstances rise to meet it. And this unwavering posture is not born from striving but from surrender. It is a surrender to the truth that the end is already accomplished, and all that remains is for the world to catch up. This path requires courage, the courage to believe without seeing, to act without confirmation, and to feel joy in the absence of results. It requires patience, not passive waiting, but active, conscious alignment. It demands that you place more trust in your inner vision than in your outer history. And in time it rewards that trust in ways so beautiful and precise that you realize it was never a matter of if, it was always a matter of when. Gratitude before manifestation is one of the most powerful states a person can occupy, because it declares that what is desired is already received. It is not a performance or a manipulation to get what you want. It is the natural expression of inner certainty. When you give thanks in advance, you are not begging for a future outcome. You are recognizing a present reality that has not yet appeared to the physical senses. This is not wishful thinking, but alignment with the spiritual truth that all things are finished in consciousness. The act of gratitude affirms that you have already touched, received, and lived the fulfillment within, and now you are simply allowing it to unfold externally in its perfect timing and form. It removes resistance, accelerates alignment, and elevates your entire vibration into harmony with the very thing you long for. True gratitude is not circumstantial. It is not dependent on life going according to plan. It is not something you offer only after the answer comes. Gratitude is a spiritual stance, a posture of heart, a frequency that says, I trust the unseen more than what I see. I believe the invisible more than what is visible. It reflects the understanding that everything is working together for your good, even when it appears otherwise. Gratitude says, I know the miracle is already mine, even if the delivery hasn't arrived yet. It shifts your awareness from lack to sufficiency, from longing to possession, from hoping to knowing. And when you dwell in that frequency consistently, you begin to magnetize the very fulfillment you're grateful for. When you feel gratitude before the manifestation, you are walking in faith that has substance. You are not waiting for something to happen to feel blessed. You feel blessed because you know it already has happened in the unseen. You close your eyes, enter the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and give thanks as though the answer has already arrived because in spirit it has. This thankfulness is not forced or mechanical. It flows effortlessly from the inner conviction that the end is certain. And the more sincerely you feel this gratitude, the faster the physical world begins to shift. You no longer carry the vibration of waiting or wanting. You carry the vibration of completion, of satisfaction, of fulfilled desire, and the law of consciousness must reflect that state in experience. Gratitude also softens the heart and opens the mind to receive. It removes the tension of striving and struggling and replaces it with peace and confidence. When you are thankful, you are no longer trying to get, you are preparing to hold. You are not questioning whether or not the blessing will come. You are preparing your hands to catch it. Gratitude clears the static from your inner atmosphere and makes your awareness a landing ground for answered prayer. It transforms how you see the present moment, because you are no longer judging it as incomplete. You recognize it as part of the perfect unfolding of what you have already received spiritually. And that awareness, that state of thank you, becomes the very energy that allows the unseen to become seen. It is a mystery to the logical mind that you would give thanks for something you don't yet possess. But the spiritual mind knows that possession begins within. If you possess it in feeling, you possess it in essence, and the form must follow. Gratitude in advance is a testimony to your inner work. It is the signature of someone who understands how reality is shaped, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. The world mirrors what you are being, not what you are needing. And when you are being someone who already has, already is, already lives in the blessing, your outer life must catch up to that state of being. Giving thanks before the breakthrough is not delusion, it is divine intelligence. Gratitude also keeps your mind and heart from drifting into the vibration of lack. When you are truly thankful, you cannot simultaneously feel anxious, doubtful, or unworthy. Gratitude disarms fear. It neutralizes complaint. It extinguishes the fires of impatience and comparison. It turns your attention away from what you think is missing and centers you in the abundance that is already here, even if not yet in physical form. It is not just about thanking for the thing you desire. It's about thanking for the growth, the unseen progress, the spiritual alignment, and the divine timing that is always working on your behalf. You begin to see even the delays and challenges as gifts wrapped in disguise, moving you closer to the thing you've imagined with faith. In this state, you stop counting how many days have passed, how long you've waited, how far you think you still are. Instead, you begin to celebrate the fact that you've already arrived within. And when you live from that inner arrival, the outer arrival becomes inevitable. Gratitude becomes your dwelling place, not because everything is perfect, but because you know perfection is unfolding through every imperfect appearance. You begin to find joy not just in the arrival, but in the anticipation, in the faithfulness, in the knowing that every moment is a step into the reality you've already claimed. And that deep, quiet joy is the most fertile ground for miracles. When you learn to live from the end, to embody the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to persist in faith despite appearances, and to give thanks before anything changes, you no longer walk as a seeker, you walk as one who has already found. The power to create, to manifest, to receive miracles has never been outside of you. It has always been within, waiting for you to remember your divine authority, to assume the state of your desire, and to remain faithful to it without wavering. Life begins to respond not to what you ask for, but to who you are being. And when you choose to be the person who already has, already is, already knows, then the world must shift to mirror that truth. Miracles are not coming, they are already yours. The moment you accept them within, you open the way for life to surprise you in ways that leave no doubt. You were never waiting, you were always creating. Life is often described as a series of problems, challenges that seem insurmountable. But what if I told you that by embracing a single teaching, you could solve every problem you face? Yes, every problem. The key lies not in the external world, but in how you approach it internally. Life is full of challenges, and every person, at some point, faces difficulties that seem impossible to overcome. But what if the real issue is not the problem itself, but how we choose to perceive it? The way we view our challenges has a profound effect on how we handle them. Understanding the power of perspective can change how we approach everything, transforming difficulties into opportunities and turning setbacks into stepping stones toward success. Imagine two people standing at the base of a mountain. One sees an insurmountable obstacle, while the other sees a thrilling adventure. The mountain hasn't changed, only their perspectives differ. This is a powerful example of how our outlook shapes our reality. The first person feels overwhelmed, defeated before even taking a step, while the second feels excited, energized by the challenge. Both are looking at the same mountain, yet their experiences of it are completely different. This is the essence of perspective, how we choose to interpret the situations we face. Our perspective is often influenced by past experiences, emotions, and beliefs. If we have faced similar challenges before and failed, we may be more likely to view new obstacles with fear or doubt. Conversely, if we have succeeded in the past, we may approach new challenges with confidence. But perspective is not fixed. It can be changed, adjusted, and refined, much like a camera lens. When we consciously decide to shift our perspective, we open ourselves to new possibilities and solutions that were previously hidden from view. One of the most important lessons we can learn is that problems are not inherently negative. In fact, many of the world's greatest innovations and successes have come as a direct result of facing and overcoming difficulties. Take the example of Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's perspective on failure was not one of defeat, but one of learning. He saw each failure as a step closer to success, an essential part of the process. His perspective allowed him to persist when others might have given up, ultimately leading to the invention of the light bulb. Similarly, our personal challenges, whether they are related to career, relationships, or personal growth, can be seen as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. When we shift our perspective from seeing problems as barriers to viewing them as opportunities, we begin to see the world differently. Problems become teachers, offering lessons that once learned can lead to personal transformation. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can begin to ask, "What can I learn from this?" Changing our perspective is not always easy, especially when we are in the midst of difficult times. Emotions like fear, anger, and frustration can cloud our judgment, making it hard to see the bigger picture. In those moments, it's helpful to take a step back and gain some distance from the situation. Imagine looking at your life as if it were a movie, with you as both the director and the main character. From this vantage point, you can see how the plot is unfolding, recognize the challenges as part of the narrative, and understand that every great story involves overcoming adversity. This shift in perspective allows you to see beyond the immediate problem and recognize that it is just one chapter in a much larger story. Perspective also plays a crucial role in how we relate to others. When we are focused solely on our own viewpoint, it's easy to become stuck in a narrow mindset. But when we make an effort to see things from another person's perspective, we gain empathy and understanding. This doesn't mean we have to agree with them, but it does allow us to approach situations with more compassion and less judgment. Relationships, whether personal or professional, benefit greatly from this kind of open-mindedness. By broadening our perspective to include the views of others, we create space for collaboration, compromise, and deeper connections. In the workplace, for instance, leaders who understand the power of perspective are often more effective. They recognize that each team member brings a unique viewpoint to the table, and they actively seek out diverse perspectives to inform their decisions. This not only leads to more creative solutions, but also fosters a sense of inclusion and respect. By valuing different perspectives, leaders can inspire innovation and create a culture of openness and trust. The same principle applies to personal growth. When we remain fixed in our perspective, we limit our potential for growth. But when we challenge ourselves to see things differently, we open the door to new possibilities. This might involve stepping outside of our comfort zone, questioning long-held beliefs, or embracing uncertainty. Growth often requires us to let go of the need for control and certainty, allowing ourselves to explore new perspectives and approaches. It's in this space of openness and curiosity that true transformation occurs. One of the most powerful tools for shifting perspective is gratitude. When we focus on what we are grateful for, even in the midst of difficult times, our perspective naturally begins to shift. Instead of dwelling on what's going wrong, we start to notice what's going right. Gratitude helps us see the positive aspects of our situation, no matter how small, and this shift in focus can have a profound impact on our overall well-being. It's not about denying the challenges we face, but about recognizing that there is always something to be thankful for, even in the darkest moments. Mindfulness is another practice that can help us shift our perspective. By staying present in the moment, we can observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Mindfulness allows us to step back and gain clarity, making it easier to see the situation from a more balanced perspective. Instead of reacting impulsively to problems, we can respond with greater calm and awareness. This shift in perspective not only reduces stress, but also helps us approach challenges with a clearer, more focused mind. In the end, perspective is a choice. We can choose to see problems as insurmountable obstacles, or we can choose to see them as opportunities for growth and learning. The beauty of perspective is that it is entirely within our control. While we may not be able to change the circumstances of our lives, we can always change how we perceive them. This shift in perspective can make all the difference in how we experience life's challenges, turning what once seemed impossible into something entirely manageable. By understanding and harnessing the power of perspective, we can transform our lives in ways we never thought possible. We can approach challenges with greater resilience, navigate relationships with more empathy, and cultivate a mindset that sees opportunities where others see obstacles. The power to change our perspective is the power to change our lives, and that power is always within our reach. Focus is one of the most valuable tools we possess. It is the ability to concentrate our attention and energy on a specific task, goal, or intention. In an age of constant distractions and competing demands for our attention, mastering the art of focus is more important than ever. Those who can hone their focus are better equipped to achieve their goals, manage their time effectively, and create a sense of fulfillment in their lives. Focus is not just about eliminating distractions, it's about intentionally directing your energy toward what truly matters. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Our phones constantly ping with notifications, social media beckons with endless scrolling, and work demands seem to multiply daily. It's easy to get pulled in 1,000 different directions, and as a result, our productivity suffers, our goals feel out of reach, and we end up feeling overwhelmed. Learning to focus is about taking control of your attention and using it as a tool for progress. It requires discipline, awareness, and a clear understanding of your priorities. The first step to mastering focus is understanding its value. Focus is like a magnifying glass. It concentrates your energy and attention on one point, making everything else fade into the background. Without focus, even the most motivated person can find themselves stuck in a cycle of busyness without real progress. But with focus, you can channel your efforts into the tasks and goals that truly move the needle in your life. It's about quality over quantity, doing fewer things but doing them with excellence. At its core, focus is a mental skill. It's the ability to direct your mind toward a single point and resist the urge to become distracted by other things. However, focus is not just about willpower, it's about creating an environment and mindset that supports sustained attention. One of the most effective ways to do this is by setting clear goals. When you have a well-defined goal, it becomes much easier to focus your energy on achieving it. Vague or unclear objectives, on the other hand, can make it difficult to maintain focus, because there's no clear direction to channel your attention. Setting specific, measurable goals allows you to focus with purpose. When you know exactly what you're working toward, it becomes easier to ignore distractions and stay on track. Break your goals down into smaller, actionable steps. This not only makes the process less overwhelming, but also gives you a sense of accomplishment as you complete each step. Each small success reinforces your focus and motivates you to keep going. Another essential aspect of mastering focus is eliminating distractions. We live in a world filled with distractions. Our phones, emails, social media, and even our thoughts can pull us away from what we're trying to accomplish. To truly focus, you must create an environment that minimizes these distractions. Start by identifying the biggest distractions in your life. Is it your phone? The internet? Noise in your surroundings? Once you know what tends to pull your attention away, you can take steps to reduce or eliminate those distractions. For example, if your phone is a constant source of distraction, consider turning off notifications during periods of deep work or placing your phone in another room. If you find yourself distracted by the internet, there are apps and tools that can block certain websites for a set period of time, allowing you to focus without the temptation of mindless browsing. Creating a workspace that promotes focus is equally important. This might mean decluttering your desk, reducing noise, or setting up a designated space where you can work without interruptions. In addition to eliminating external distractions, it's also important to manage internal distractions, the thoughts, worries, and anxieties that can pull us away from the task at hand. Often our minds drift because we are thinking about the future, replaying past events, or worrying about things outside of our control. To combat this, mindfulness practices can be incredibly helpful. Mindfulness is the practice of staying present and fully engaged in the moment. When you're mindful, you are aware of your thoughts and can gently guide your attention back to the task at hand when your mind starts to wander. Meditation is a powerful tool for improving focus because it trains your brain to stay in the present moment. Even just a few minutes of daily meditation can help improve your ability to concentrate over time. By learning to notice when your mind is wandering and bringing it back to your breath or a focal point, you strengthen your focus muscles. Over time, this practice spills over into other areas of your life, helping you stay focused on tasks, goals, and conversations with others. Time management is another key element of focus. When we don't manage our time effectively, it's easy to become scattered and lose sight of our priorities. A good way to manage time is through techniques like time blocking or the Pomodoro technique. Time blocking involves scheduling specific periods of time for focused work on a single task, while the Pomodoro technique breaks work into intervals, typically 25 minutes long, followed by short breaks. Both methods encourage sustained focus by creating structured time for deep work and minimizing multitasking. Multitasking is often seen as a productivity booster, but research has shown that it actually hinders focus and reduces the quality of work. When we try to do multiple things at once, our attention is split, and we end up less effective at each task. The brain is not designed to focus on more than one thing at a time. True focus means giving your full attention to one task before moving on to the next. By doing this, you increase your efficiency and the quality of your output. Prioritization is another crucial aspect of focus. Not everything on your to-do list is of equal importance. To master focus, you must learn to prioritize the tasks that matter most and let go of less important activities that can wait. A helpful tool for prioritization is the Eisenhower matrix, which categorizes tasks into 4 quadrants: urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and neither urgent nor important. By focusing on the tasks that are both important and urgent, you ensure that your energy is spent on activities that align with your long-term goals. Another aspect of focus is knowing when to take breaks. Sustained focus requires rest, and pushing yourself to work for long periods without a break can lead to burnout and decreased productivity. Short, regular breaks can actually improve focus by giving your brain time to recharge. The key is to take intentional breaks, step away from your work, stretch, take a walk, or engage in an activity that allows your mind to rest. These breaks help you return to your work with renewed energy and concentration. Self-discipline is the foundation of focus. Without discipline, it's easy to give in to distractions or procrastination. Self-discipline is the ability to stay committed to your goals and resist the temptation to veer off course. This doesn't mean being hard on yourself when you lose focus, but rather gently reminding yourself of your goals and bringing your attention back to what matters. Over time, discipline becomes a habit, making it easier to maintain focus even in the face of distractions. Cultivating inner peace through acceptance is a profound journey of personal transformation. Inner peace is not about external circumstances being perfect, it's about finding serenity and contentment within, regardless of the chaos around us. The key to this lies in acceptance of ourselves, our circumstances, and the reality of life as it is, rather than how we wish it to be. When we embrace acceptance, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of resistance, frustration, and suffering that comes from trying to control what we cannot change. Instead, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of peace and harmony with the world around us. At the heart of acceptance is the recognition that life is full of uncertainties, challenges, and situations beyond our control. We often expend tremendous energy trying to change these circumstances, only to find ourselves feeling more stressed and anxious. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means recognizing what is within our control and what is not. By accepting that some things are simply out of our hands, we can focus our energy on what we can change: our thoughts, attitudes, and actions, rather than being consumed by frustration over the uncontrollable. Self-acceptance is one of the most significant steps toward cultivating inner peace. Many of us are our own harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for not measuring up to certain standards or expectations. We compare ourselves to others and feel inadequate, or we dwell on past mistakes and wish we had done things differently. This internal struggle creates a sense of unease and turmoil within us. When we practice self-acceptance, we allow ourselves to be who we are, with all our imperfections and flaws, without judgment or criticism. We recognize that we are human, and it's okay to make mistakes or have limitations. This acceptance brings a sense of relief and calm, because we are no longer fighting against ourselves. Self-acceptance also involves letting go of the need for perfection. Many of us strive for perfection in various areas of our lives, whether it's in our work, relationships, or personal goals. We set unrealistic expectations for ourselves, and when we inevitably fall short, we feel a sense of failure or inadequacy. This constant pursuit of perfection can lead to chronic stress and anxiety, as we are always chasing an unattainable ideal. By accepting that we are not perfect, and that perfection is not necessary for happiness or fulfillment, we free ourselves from this burden. We can still strive to improve and grow, but we do so from a place of self-compassion and acceptance, rather than self-criticism. Acceptance of others is another critical aspect of inner peace. In our interactions with others, we often encounter people whose behaviors, opinions, or values differ from our own. It's easy to become frustrated, angry, or judgmental when others don't meet our expectations or conform to our views. However, this only creates conflict and tension, both within ourselves and in our relationships. By practicing acceptance of others, we recognize that everyone is on their own journey with their own experiences, perspectives, and challenges. We don't have to agree with or condone everything others do, but we can choose to accept them as they are without trying to change them. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior, but rather understanding that we cannot control how others think, feel, or act. When we let go of the need to change others, we create space for more harmonious and peaceful relationships. Acceptance also plays a vital role in how we deal with life's challenges and hardships. Life is full of ups and downs, and we all face difficulties at various points. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, a setback at work, or a health issue, challenges are inevitable. Often our first response is to resist or deny these difficulties. We may try to avoid the pain, distract ourselves, or fight against the reality of the situation. However, this resistance only prolongs our suffering. When we practice acceptance, we allow ourselves to feel the pain, grief, or disappointment without pushing it away. We acknowledge that these feelings are a natural part of life and that it's okay to experience them. Acceptance doesn't make the pain go away, but it helps us move through it with greater ease and grace. By accepting the reality of our circumstances, we open ourselves to the possibility of healing and growth. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for cultivating acceptance. Mindfulness is the practice of staying present in the moment, without judgment or attachment to how things should be. It encourages us to observe our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without getting caught up in them. When we practice mindfulness, we become more aware of the ways in which we resist reality and try to control our experiences. We may notice that we are holding on to certain expectations or that we are judging ourselves or others harshly. By bringing awareness to these patterns, we can begin to let go of our resistance and practice acceptance. Mindfulness also helps us accept the impermanence of life. Everything in life is constantly changing our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and circumstances. We often cling to the things we want to last forever, and we push away the things we don't want to experience. This clinging and aversion create a sense of dissatisfaction and restlessness. When we accept the impermanence of life, we learn to appreciate each moment as it is, without trying to hold on to it or change it. We find peace in the present moment, knowing that everything is in a state of flux, and that's okay. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation or apathy. It doesn't mean that we give up on our goals or stop trying to improve our lives. Instead, acceptance is about finding a balance between striving for growth and acknowledging the reality of the present moment. It's about recognizing that while we may not be able to control everything that happens to us, we can choose how we respond to it. By cultivating acceptance, we shift our focus from what we can't control to what we can, our thoughts, attitudes, and actions. This empowers us to take responsibility for our lives and create a sense of peace from within. In a world where so much is uncertain and unpredictable, acceptance offers a way to find stability and calm. It's a practice that takes time and patience, but the rewards are profound. When we embrace acceptance, we free ourselves from the constant struggle to control everything, and we allow ourselves to live more fully in the present moment. We create space for peace, joy, and contentment, not because everything in our lives is perfect, but because we have learned to accept life as it is. Through acceptance, we discover that inner peace is not something we have to chase, it's something we can cultivate from within, no matter what is happening around us. Harnessing the power of belief is a transformative principle that has been echoed throughout history by spiritual leaders, philosophers, and motivational thinkers alike. Belief shapes our reality. It is the invisible force that drives our actions, informs our decisions, and ultimately determines the course of our lives. When we fully understand and tap into the power of belief, we unlock the potential to achieve things we once thought impossible. Whether it's personal success, overcoming obstacles, or manifesting a desired future, belief lies at the core of it all. At its most fundamental level, belief is a mental state of conviction. It is the acceptance of something as true, even without tangible evidence to support it. This concept can be both empowering and limiting, depending on what we believe. When we believe in ourselves, our abilities, and our potential, we set the stage for personal growth, success, and fulfillment. On the flip side, when we hold limiting beliefs, such as thinking we are not good enough or that certain dreams are unattainable, we sabotage our progress and create a life of restriction. One of the most powerful examples of belief in action is the placebo effect. In medicine, patients who believe they are receiving treatment, even when given an inert substance, often experience real improvements in their condition. This phenomenon shows that belief alone can trigger physiological and psychological changes in the body. It highlights the mind's profound influence over physical outcomes and demonstrates how what we believe can directly affect our reality. While the placebo effect is often discussed in the context of health, its implications extend far beyond the medical field. It serves as a metaphor for how our beliefs shape all areas of our lives. At the heart of harnessing belief is understanding that our thoughts are not just fleeting mental experiences, they are creative forces. Our beliefs shape our thoughts, and our thoughts, in turn, shape our actions and behaviors. If we constantly think negatively or doubt ourselves, we limit our actions and hesitate to pursue opportunities. But when we believe that we can achieve our goals, we take bold, decisive steps toward them. This is why belief is so crucial in personal development and success. Belief acts as the fuel that propels us forward, even in the face of challenges and setbacks. Belief also plays a significant role in how we perceive challenges. Life is filled with obstacles, both big and small, and the way we approach these challenges is directly influenced by our beliefs. Those who believe that challenges are opportunities for growth and learning tend to persevere and ultimately succeed. They view setbacks as temporary and use them as stepping stones toward their goals. On the other hand, those who believe that challenges are insurmountable or that failure defines them often give up at the first sign of difficulty. This difference in mindset illustrates how belief shapes not only our perception of the world, but also our ability to navigate it. A key aspect of harnessing the power of belief is recognizing and changing limiting beliefs. We all carry beliefs that hold us back, whether we are aware of them or not. These limiting beliefs are often formed during childhood or as a result of past experiences. They might manifest as thoughts like "I'm not smart enough, I don't deserve success," or "I'm too old to start something new." These beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies. If we believe we are not capable, we won't take the necessary actions to prove otherwise. Identifying and challenging these limiting beliefs is the first step in breaking free from them. By replacing them with empowering beliefs, such as "I am capable, I deserve success," or "it's never too late to pursue my dreams," we open ourselves up to new possibilities and opportunities. Visualization is a powerful tool for strengthening belief. By vividly imagining ourselves achieving our goals, we create a mental image of success that reinforces our belief in its possibility. Visualization helps to align our subconscious mind with our desires, making it easier to take the actions necessary to bring them to fruition. Athletes, performers, and successful individuals across all fields often use visualization to prepare for success. They imagine themselves crossing the finish line, delivering a perfect performance, or achieving their desired outcome. This practice not only boosts confidence but also strengthens the belief that success is possible. When we repeatedly visualize success, we begin to believe it's within reach, and this belief shapes our actions and decisions in powerful ways. Affirmations are another technique for harnessing the power of belief. Affirmations are positive statements that reinforce empowering beliefs. By repeating affirmations regularly, we reprogram our subconscious mind and replace limiting beliefs with more constructive ones. For example, saying "I am capable of achieving my goals" or "I attract success and abundance" can help shift our mindset from doubt to confidence. Over time, these affirmations become ingrained in our thinking, influencing our actions and leading to real change in our lives. The key to making affirmations effective is to truly believe in the words you are saying. It's not just about repeating a mantra, it's about embodying the belief behind it. Belief is also closely tied to resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity and keep moving forward, even when faced with difficulties. Those who have a strong belief in themselves and their abilities are more likely to remain resilient in the face of setbacks. They understand that failure is not the end, but merely a part of the journey towards success. Their belief keeps them focused on the bigger picture and prevents them from being discouraged by temporary setbacks. In contrast, those with weak beliefs are more likely to be derailed by obstacles. They may view failure as confirmation of their limitations, rather than as an opportunity to learn and grow. Harnessing the power of belief also involves faith in ourselves, faith in the process, and faith in something greater than ourselves. This doesn't necessarily mean religious faith, although for many people, spiritual belief can be a powerful source of strength and guidance. Rather, it's about trusting that things will work out, even when we can't see how. It's about having faith that our efforts will eventually bear fruit, even when the results aren't immediately visible. This kind of faith allows us to stay committed to our goals, even when the path is uncertain or difficult. The power of belief is not just about positive thinking or wishful dreaming, it's about aligning our thoughts, emotions, and actions with our deepest desires. It's about cultivating a mindset that supports our goals rather than sabotages them. When we believe in our abilities and the possibility of success, we are more likely to take the actions necessary to achieve our goals. Our beliefs shape our reality, and by consciously choosing empowering beliefs, we create a life that aligns with our highest aspirations. Developing emotional resilience is an essential life skill that allows individuals to navigate challenges, setbacks, and adversities with strength and grace. Emotional resilience refers to the ability to bounce back from difficult situations, adapt to change, and maintain a sense of well-being despite the obstacles life presents. In a world that is constantly evolving and filled with uncertainties, emotional resilience becomes a critical asset for personal growth, mental health, and overall happiness. At its core, emotional resilience is about how we respond to stress, disappointment, and adversity. It's not about avoiding these situations altogether, as they are an inevitable part of life, but rather about how we cope with and recover from them. Resilient individuals possess an inner strength that allows them to face challenges head-on, while maintaining a positive outlook and belief in their ability to overcome difficulties. This inner strength is not something we are born with, rather, it is a quality that can be developed and nurtured over time through intentional practices and mindset shifts. One of the fundamental aspects of developing emotional resilience is cultivating self-awareness. Self-awareness involves understanding our emotions, recognizing our triggers, and being mindful of how we react to stress and adversity. It's about being honest with ourselves about what we are feeling in any given moment and allowing ourselves to experience those emotions without judgment. When we are self-aware, we can better understand the root cause of our emotions and respond to them in a healthy and constructive manner. This self-awareness is the foundation for emotional resilience because it helps us manage our emotional responses in a way that promotes growth rather than dwelling on negativity. Another key element of emotional resilience is developing a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that we can learn and grow from our experiences, even when those experiences are difficult or painful. It's the understanding that failure is not the end, but a stepping stone on the path to success. Resilient individuals embrace challenges as opportunities to learn and improve, rather than as insurmountable obstacles. When we adopt a growth mindset, we begin to see setbacks and failures as temporary and manageable, rather than as permanent and overwhelming. This perspective allows us to stay focused on our long-term goals and remain motivated to keep moving forward, even in the face of adversity. Emotional resilience also involves developing healthy coping strategies for managing stress. Stress is a natural part of life, but how we deal with it can either strengthen or weaken our resilience. Resilient individuals have a toolkit of coping mechanisms that they can rely on when faced with stressful situations. These coping strategies might include mindfulness practices such as meditation or deep breathing, engaging in physical activity to release tension, journaling to process emotions, or talking to a trusted friend or therapist for support. By having these coping mechanisms in place, we are better equipped to handle stress in a way that promotes emotional well-being, rather than letting it overwhelm us. One of the most powerful ways to build emotional resilience is by fostering a strong support system. Humans are inherently social beings, and having meaningful connections with others can provide us with the strength and encouragement we need to overcome challenges. Resilient individuals don't try to go it alone, they lean on their support network when times get tough. This might include family, friends, mentors, or colleagues who offer a listening ear, a different perspective, or practical advice. Having people we can trust and confide in helps us feel less isolated in our struggles and reminds us that we are not alone in facing life's difficulties. Along with social support, emotional resilience is strengthened by practicing self-compassion. Self-compassion involves treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially during times of struggle or failure. It's about recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and faces challenges, and that these experiences do not define our worth. Resilient individuals are gentle with themselves when things don't go as planned. Instead of being overly critical or harsh, they offer themselves the same kindness and encouragement they would offer a friend in a similar situation. This self-compassion allows us to recover from setbacks more quickly, as we are not bogged down by feelings of shame or inadequacy. Another important aspect of emotional resilience is learning to accept change as a natural part of life. Life is constantly changing, and no matter how much we try to plan or control our circumstances, things won't always go according to our expectations. Resilient individuals understand that change is inevitable, and that resisting it only creates more stress and frustration. Instead, they practice adaptability and flexibility, learning to go with the flow and adjust their plans when necessary. This adaptability is a hallmark of emotional resilience, as it allows individuals to remain grounded and focused even when life throws unexpected curveballs their way. One of the biggest challenges to emotional resilience is the fear of failure. Many people shy away from taking risks or pursuing their goals because they are afraid of failing. However, resilient individuals understand that failure is not something to be feared, but rather something to be embraced as a learning opportunity. They recognize that failure is an essential part of the growth process, and that every setback offers valuable lessons that can be applied to future endeavors. By reframing failure as a stepping stone to success, resilient individuals are able to take risks and pursue their goals with confidence, knowing that even if things don't go as planned, they have the strength and resilience to bounce back. Developing emotional resilience also requires practicing gratitude. Gratitude is the practice of focusing on the positive aspects of life, even in the face of adversity. When we make a habit of expressing gratitude for the things we have, the people in our lives, and the experiences we've gained, we shift our focus away from what is lacking or going wrong and instead appreciate the abundance that surrounds us. Gratitude fosters a sense of contentment and well-being, even in difficult times, and helps us maintain a positive outlook. Resilient individuals regularly practice gratitude, which enhances their ability to stay optimistic and focused, no matter what challenges they may face. Building emotional resilience involves cultivating a sense of purpose. When we have a clear sense of purpose or a greater meaning behind what we do, it gives us the motivation and determination to persevere through tough times. Resilient individuals are often driven by a deep sense of purpose, whether it's related to their career, their relationships, or their personal goals. This purpose provides them with a sense of direction and gives them the strength to keep going, even when the road is difficult. By identifying and connecting with our purpose, we can develop the emotional resilience needed to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and determination. Living with purpose and intention is one of the most fulfilling ways to approach life. It means living in alignment with your values, passions, and the things that truly matter to you. When you live with purpose, you wake up each day with a sense of direction and meaning, rather than just going through the motions of life without a clear goal. Intention, on the other hand, is about being deliberate in your actions and choices. It's about making conscious decisions that support your purpose and align with the life you want to create. Together, purpose and intention are powerful forces that can guide you toward a more meaningful and satisfying life. To live with purpose and intention, the first step is understanding what your purpose is. Your purpose is the overarching reason you exist, the driving force behind your actions, and the contribution you want to make to the world. For some people, purpose might be tied to their career, their family, or a cause they deeply care about. For others, it might be about personal growth, self-discovery, or spiritual fulfillment. Whatever your purpose is, it gives you a sense of direction and helps you stay focused on what truly matters. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning and motivates you to keep moving forward, even when the road gets tough. Discovering your purpose can be a journey in itself. It requires self-reflection and a deep understanding of your values, passions, and strengths. You might start by asking yourself some key questions. What are the things that light you up? What activities make you lose track of time? What do you care about so deeply that you're willing to put in the hard work to make a difference? What legacy do you want to leave behind? These questions can help you uncover the things that are most important to you and guide you toward your purpose. Once you have a clearer sense of your purpose, the next step is to align your actions with it. This is where living with intention comes into play. Living with intention means making deliberate choices that support your purpose and move you closer to your goals. It's about being mindful of how you spend your time, energy, and resources, and ensuring that your daily actions reflect the life you want to create. This might mean setting clear priorities, saying no to things that don't serve your purpose, and focusing on what truly matters to you. Intentional living requires a shift in mindset. It's about moving from a reactive way of living where you're constantly responding to external demands and circumstances to a proactive way of living, where you take control of your choices and actions. When you live with intention, you're not just letting life happen to you, you're actively shaping your life in a way that aligns with your purpose. This doesn't mean that you have to have everything figured out or that you'll never encounter challenges or setbacks. But it does mean that you approach life with clarity and focus, knowing that each step you take is bringing you closer to your goals. A key aspect of living with purpose and intention is setting meaningful goals. These goals should be aligned with your purpose and reflect the things that are most important to you. When you set goals with intention, you're not just chasing success for the sake of success, you're working towards something that truly matters to you. Your goals become a roadmap for living with purpose, helping you stay focused on what's important and avoid getting distracted by things that don't contribute to your overall mission. Setting intentional goals also involves breaking them down into actionable steps. It's not enough to have a big, lofty goal, you need to know how you're going to get there. By breaking your goals down into smaller, manageable tasks, you can create a clear plan for how to achieve them. Each small step you take brings you closer to your larger purpose, and this sense of progress can be incredibly motivating. In addition to setting goals, living with purpose and intention requires regular self-reflection. This means taking the time to evaluate your actions and decisions to ensure that they are aligned with your purpose. Self-reflection allows you to assess whether you're living in accordance with your values and whether your daily choices are supporting the life you want to create. It's a chance to course correct if needed and make adjustments to stay on track. Living with purpose and intention also means being open to growth and change. As you move through life, your purpose may evolve and your priorities may shift. What was important to you 5 years ago might not be as meaningful to you today, and that's okay. Part of living with purpose is being flexible and adaptable, allowing yourself to grow and change as you gain new experiences and insights. It's important to regularly reassess your purpose and goals to ensure that they're still aligned with who you are and what you want out of life. Another important aspect of intentional living is cultivating a sense of gratitude. When you live with purpose and intention, you become more aware of the things that truly matter to you, and this awareness naturally leads to a greater sense of gratitude. You begin to appreciate the small moments of joy, the relationships that support you, and the opportunities that align with your purpose. Gratitude helps you stay grounded and focused on the positive aspects of your life, even when things aren't going perfectly. Living with purpose and intention involves serving others. Purpose is often tied to something greater than ourselves, and when we live with purpose, we naturally seek ways to contribute to the well-being of others. This might involve giving back to your community, supporting a cause you believe in, or simply being kind and compassionate to those around you. Serving others not only enhances your sense of purpose, but it also brings a deeper sense of fulfillment and meaning to your life.